What's going on, peoples? What's happening? What's happening? Listen, I want to give a little information. This is a situation where it's truly me being open, transparent. All my life, I've always kind of been in relationships. You know what I'm saying? I've always had a serious relationship. You know, I've always been in a serious relationship. And I think this is the first time in my life that I've actually, I've had to come into my own. And what I mean by that, and that is that create my own happiness, create my own space, create my own joy, create my own peace. Even though we search and thrive for that particular peace, when it's here, you got to be able to adjust to it. Now, the one thing that I've learned is that you got to find productive things to do. For so long, I was here, I was there, I was going here, I was going there, I was showing up here, showing up in a lot of different places. And the reality of it was that, was I happy in the space that I was currently in? Ever since I've been, kind of like, redefining myself, I've just been in the house. I've just been chilling. I've been chilling. The most I get out now is if someone calls and say, hey, I'm over here, I'm over there, or if people come by and they holler at me and that type of thing, I might, we might go out somewhere like that. But as far as just always out, I am perfectly fine with just chilling. And I think that we have to be in spaces like that. I think that we have to be in spaces where we can develop those utopia moments for yourself. And if you can't, I hope that you are able to find those kind of spaces. Sometimes we rush into situations, we rush into relationships, we rush into privileged things because out of familiarity, loneliness, all those different type of things we come across. Just remain focused and make sure that you take care of what you're supposed to take care of. And that is to put yourself in a position where you are growing mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. You're doing everything that you can to grow. We can get caught up in a thing where we lose focus, because what happens is that when you have someone else in that space, as a man, you have to put them in the equation. You have to put them in the equation. You know what I'm saying? So now when you sit back and you say, okay, well, hey, what is it that I need to do? What is it that I need to do to become the person that I need to be? A friend of mine told me, he said something to me that was when he said it, I was like, man, that was some powerful words. And what he stated was that for him to become the man that he needs to become, he got to let the old him die or expire. Because you can't hold on to an older version of you and try to bring him into the new version of yourself that you want, that you see yourself in, and that you see yourself in wanting to be. Can't do it. It's not gonna happen. That's like continually. That's like trying to shape and change someone that you know they're not going to change because they don't want to change. See, change comes from internal. Change comes from a person getting sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of doing the same thing, having the same result. Because we all know what that means. If I keep doing the same thing expecting a different result, that's crazy. For you to be in a space where you are going to have change, you have to change your view. You have to change your look. You have to change your mentals. You have to change your emotions. Because if I want to be in a space where as I am developing a relationship, or I'm developing a business, or I'm developing me as a person, I gotta ask those hard questions. And I gotta answer them. Am I? Do I? Can I? I got to be able to, and I got to be honest with myself. Am I the problem? If I'm the problem, then I need to make a change on that. If I'm not the problem, because at some point in time, you have to have some accountability of the problem, because you're the one that, whether or not you're dealing with someone like who you're dealing with and they're mistreating you, you still chose that person. You still chose that particular person, how they treat you, how they look at you, how they view you. You chose them. So you got to make a change. If there's something that is going on that can make me a better person, I have to be open to that change. I can't be in a situation where every time it's always somebody else's fault. Because if someone is mistreating you, if you are allowing for them to do that, then who's to blame? Who's to blame? You can't blame nobody but yourself. You can't blame no one but yourself. Because a person can only do what you allow them to do. And sometimes we can, as men, we can try to push it off and say, okay, well, hey, I'm just trying to be supportive. I'm trying to be this and I'm trying to be that. But at some point in time, you got to stand your ground. You got to be able to say, hey, listen, you know what? That might work. That might work for you, and that might be something that you enjoy doing. But guess what? That don't work for me. And you got to be able to understand your value and your worth. Because as a man, guess what? It is on you. It's not going to be an even share. It's not going to be an easy situation. It's not going to be fair. And as men, we know that. We know that it's not going to be fair. We know that we're not going to get the gifts for Father's Day. We know that we know that for our birthday we're going to get the same old stuff that we get that we're supposed to get year round. There's nothing special that we're going to do that's going to be done for that. So we have to create our own kind of utopia to kind of suffice that. Now, some people do it with bikes. Some people do it with cars. Some people do it with material assets, clothes, things of that nature. But until you can find the happiness inside of you, all you're going to do is end up spending money. Because if you're not happy, it doesn't matter what you buy, you're still not going to be happy. Because internally, you're not happy. You're not happy. So we have to be able to create situations of peace. Being humble, being business minded, seeing opportunities and seizing opportunities. You got to be in position. I'm doing a candela. I don't know if you can see the color. The color is green, but this is called a candela. And the one thing that the candelas are known for, it's a very thin leaf, very thin leaf. The better you can keep your candelas, with humidity in it, the better it's going to smoke. If your humidor is not up to par, this particular smoke is going to crack, and it is going to be a clusterfuck of a cigar event that you might not enjoy. But if you get an opportunity to smoke, it's a really clean and pure smoke because the leaf is very light. So what you're going to get is a lot more of the blend taste. That's the inners of this particular cigar. You'll get a little bit of some of your candelas are got a sweet tip on them, but if you do that, it's a pretty good solid blend. A lot of people just don't care too much for it because it's very light, but it's about flavor. It's about flavor with the candelas. But getting back to what I was saying, we're going to lose this battle if we don't see change. We're going to lose this battle if we don't seek change. And what I mean by this battle is that we can sit here and continue to keep trying to think that I don't need nobody, I don't need this, I don't need that. And in the end of the day, that's not how it's meant. That's not how it's meant. That's not how it's meant. When you sit back and you go through a situation and you're sitting there and you're in space by yourself and there's no one to turn to share moments with you, all of these type of things, you have to realize and understand that, guess what? I'm in this space by myself. Now, the hardest thing for me has been, going through that adaptation part. Just always being able to have someone there and say, hey, listen, let's do something. Let's go somewhere. Let's do this. Let's do that. And now you're in a situation where you just have to be like, you got to do it yourself. And that's fine, if that's what you want to do. But be realistic. Mentally, you have to be ready for that particular space. Because loneliness is a space that everybody can't stay in. Being by yourself is not a space for everybody to be in. See, sometimes when you're dealing with loneliness, that's an opportunity for God to sit here and talk to you. That's a time for you to listen. That's a time for you to be honest. That's a time for you to be transparent with yourself. Please be transparent with yourself. Because if you can look in the mirror and lie to yourself, you're not ready for a relationship. You're not ready for anybody around you. If you can look in that mirror and know that you're lying God bless whoever you're with. Because you have no ability to deal with reality. I had several conversations with my mother. And, over this period of time, I've had the opportunity to sit back and be around my mom and us have conversations. I mean, real in-depth conversations about life, love, the pursuit of happiness, about choices, about judgment. Because let's be realistic. There's people, anybody who sit here and say they don't judge, that's a lie. That's a lie. And if anybody's sitting there telling you that they don't judge, they lying to you. Because even if they don't say it, they thought it. If you see a young child out there doing boots on the ground and she's 3 or 4 years old and she's doing moves like a grown woman, some people might sit there and cheer it. But there's some people that sit there going, she's too young to be doing that. She's too young to be doing that. And that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem. When she gets about 10, 11, 12 years old, that's going to be an issue. We got to get back to raising our children. We got to get back to morality. We got to get back to things that that's going to put forth family and push family. Now, regardless of whatever type of person that I've been in my life, family has always been a key component. I might have been a booger bear over here, but I've always tried to make sure that I have a presence with my children and family. Sometimes we can try to escape by moving away. We think that, okay, well, hey, the farther I move away from them, I don't have to deal with them. But eventually, you got to come back down to them stairs. Any stair that you miss, you got to come back to it. You're going to come back to it because it's a part of your lifeline that you have to go on that step. You have to take that step. You got to take that step in life. You can't skip over steps and think that, okay, you're not going to go back down, because you're going to go back down to that step. You can go 20, 30 years in a situation, in a marriage or a relationship, and never be, never have that type of reality where you're going to go out here and you date, casually date, things of that nature. When the dating thing comes to you, you're going to have to go through that stage. Now, unfortunately, right now, at the state of where we are, it's different. It's different. We're in different spaces right now. And we are in this independent, I don't need no one, I don't need nobody, I don't need this, I don't need that. I can do it all by myself. God is my boyfriend. God is not your boyfriend. And any woman that sits here and say that God is your boyfriend, leave her alone. Because honestly and truthfully, God is your father. He's not your boyfriend. He's not your mate. He's not your companion. He's not going to sit here and go along with stuff that you know that you're doing is wrong. He's not going to go along with it. He's a father. And that's what fathers do. Fathers put themselves in positions where they know that they're gonna be the bad guy. Because they are the disciplinarians of the family. If he's a father. Now, if he's a piece of man, he don't care. That's why it's important for when guys are sitting there saying that, raising someone else's kids, you have to be invested in that child's life. You have to be able to sit here and say, hey, you know what? I know that this is not my child, but I'm going to invest into this child. I'm going to feed into this child because I care about the position of where they are. And I want them to be successful, especially if they don't have that type of figure in their life. Now, whether or not that's something that you as a female is looking for or saying that you don't need, let's be realistic. If you have a child and the father's not in their life, and you have a man that is willing to come in and be that, respect that man. Respect him. Respect him. Respect him. Don't mistreat him. Don't dog him out. Respect him. Because he don't have to do it. He don't. Period, point blank. He don't have to do it. Pretty decent. So listen, I hope that I didn't offend anyone that listening to these words. I hope that you're taking some information that I'm saying on this and utilize it for your better good. You know, understand that it takes a village. If you don't have a village, you need to find one. Smoke well, my friends. Enjoy. Holla at your boy.